Yeah, let's find out.
Now, is it true that you had to present this title sequences
What
as a
should we do
separate
for
budget
workout?
from the rest of the film?
Yeah, this is one of those things that is to
What
keep
should
you
we
on
do for
budget. They
workout?
say,
I
well,
don't know.
think about doing the title sequence if you're good. So some
Oh,
people
the
are actually
weights?
good.
If the movie's good, you can rise up from the fear center of the brain. If it's bad,
So why title
Thank
sequence?
you, this.
I remember when I
You
first
don't
got to LA,
Okay.
before we started shooting.
Let's
I
try and
spent a
avoid
week before,
the
2 weeks with
bike.
Teacher House.
yeah, the bike and the
This is an
roller, just because it's
introduction
gonna make
to
the
the
air
mind
noise,
of
and
this
I
film,
wanna
which
find
we
out
showed
if I'm able to post
certain
this
shot, which the
to
computer
YouTube
generated
without
sort
the
of geniuses
with the movie
are
on.
working on.
Okay.
And he tried to explain sort of tracking shot, starting
Last time I
with
tried it,
the
it
brain
didn't work.
and tracking
And I think
out
it's
so
because
eventually
like
get to the barrel of the gun, which you're gonna see in a second.
uh,
Anyway, it was
I
sort of
recorded
mind-blowing.
too
I
much of
it
the
sort of
movie and didn't
did
make
indicate to me
noise
that
of our own.
a
So this time,
intense,
if we're making
amazing
noise of
visual
our own,
imagination.
it might work.
It was a glimpse into
Let's
the
do bench
mind
press
and visual imagination of Fincher.
and
Then I sort of knew that, well, I could just sort of trust him and I was in good hands. And that was the case with most of the film,
squats.
in that he has such a specific vision,
sit-ups.
David, that I knew that I could just relax because he'd been doing half the work for me, i.e. in the composition
Big
of shots, or the way
extensions?
he saw the
Yeah.
character.
We can do
And
those.
which he thought he was Marlon,
Like
so I
those.
thought, well, all I needed to do was really copy him.
5, you say?
And I'm not
For
completely
each one it was 5.
him thinking he was Marlon.
Like
5 reps.
Certainly he got the tone
like
of that,
this.
or understood the
we can
tone
make
of that. So
Sit-ups,
I would say
push-ups.
partially based
those,
on
those.
David.
Oh, 5 exercises.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought you were
I
talking
have
about
philosophy
like
that in
5
most
minutes.
movies, you can see
That's
too much of
five
the
reps.
actor's eyes.
Yeah,
so
five
we
reps.
try to really get rid
That's
of that.
5 exercises. We could do like 5 rounds.
sort of
5 rounds, 5 exercises.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
remember doing this shot.
Once the battery gets charged, I'll blow out the
How'd you go through the balloon?
gym.
As you're going through the van under the street and whipping along in the foundation of the other building, if you go frame by frame, you'll see the rooms.
Yeah, there's one room, there's a janitor's like office.
And you'll see the intricate work done by people who have basically never left offices, much like that janitor's office, where they live in front of their computer screens. Now that's an enduring image of the movie to me. My face and Bob's chest. Elo gave me a picture of me against his breast in a frame that said,
Hey.
with hugs,
Oh.
love me.
Look, Odin's in the cone. Look, he's in the cone.
And actually,
He won't stop licking, will he? Willy, Willy.
When he came in, I didn't really recognize him because his hair was all cut short already from another movie. And he came in, kind of hard to believe it was him. He was great. Funny.
Starbucks is very, very cool with this. The room is like,
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there was our first flick, by the way, that was the first subliminal sounding room one turn. These were the first week of shooting, by the way. The office scenes were the first week of shooting. Brad was still on vacation. I was working.
Zach Rainey.
Zach!
What are you doing?
So business connect. Doesn't seem to know what they're talking about.
This is brave. You don't see a lot of
No,
scenes in movies where guys with their pants lower down around their ankles.
And I didn't have anything on underneath either.
Didn't
I wasn't wearing anything.
a thong. Not for this scene.
In fact, did you notice that I didn't ask to go to the bathroom the whole day? This is the shot, actually, Fincher, do you remember when we were doing this shot? And we watched it on tape, you said you have to come in very precisely, and you can't, like, you have to come in and it needs to be at a perfect pace, and we watched it on the monitor, and
I'm gonna go get some water.
someone said Jordan resembles young Baryshnikov.
I'll be back.
I don't remember that.
challenge doing, especially the early part of this movie. Well, really all through the movie because the voiceover really goes all through it. But a lot of times we're shooting shots knowing that the voiceover is running over it, and you have to time the sync of the voiceover fairly closely, especially in moments like that where a voiceover line comes in between two lines in the scene. Sometimes we had Dina Waxman, our script supervisor, sitting off stage, like quietly reading the voiceover lines into spaces where they were going to be, so that we would do the timing of the actual lines right.
Subliminal peak. I love using the subliminal advertising technique to introduce a character.
Actually, we did when we were doing the transfer of the film, we they send, as we finish the reels up, they'll send them out to be quality checked and quality controlled. And we did get a lot of notes back that there's some dirt on some of the frames.
Really? Big discussions about this section, about the balance of humor and reality, and we're dealing with something that,
Owen, what are you doing? Owen!
that there are people walking around with and living with
What
and dealing
are you
with.
doing?
Finding that line
Are
out.
you involved? Don't get it.
We're still finding the irony.
Thank God, no. I'm glad for her.
This is the kind of scene that, I don't know, only people with no sense of humor saw as negative.
Everyone, let's thank Thomas for sharing himself with us.
This is one of the first clues of who Tyler really is. He repeats these words right here. I look around this room and I see a lot of men. ...
All this was shot, a lot of it was shot downtown Los Angeles, spaces that don't look like any place in particular. I think kind of the idea was to have a city that's everywhere and nowhere.
Meatloaf had just been a decade losing all this weight, and he gets a job where he's got to be fat guy again, and so they have to build this fat suit for him. And there were 2 suits invented, right? 2 suits made because of the studio. One with nipples, one sans nipples.
And I remember the first week of shooting, the only response we got from the studio about things that they actually didn't like, they sent us a memo basically saying, is it necessary we have these giant Dustin nipples? Dustin nipples. And I was driving down Beverly, and I looked over and there's this woman asleep, this homeless woman asleep in this in a bus shelter, and I looked over and she had these giant nipples pointing through it, and I was like, you gotta get a picture of this person and send it to Laura.
I think you should have quoted Larry Flint and just said, complain to the manufacturer.
Looking at this shot, I did a shot once with Meatloaf that wasn't him. It was a shame because I had to cry.
This is slippery.
When you have to
What's
someone's
slippery?
different,
These
you know,
slippers on this metal.
after all that, but in fact we reshot it twice. But I think it was more to do, it didn't really match or suit the introduction of Marla, much as I like nestling into Meatloaf's breasts.
I felt pretty bonded to Brad and Fincher, and just in terms of that it was in essence a comedy, or a black comedy with a heavy element of satire in it, so that in these kinds of scenes, the support group scenes are emblematic of that, because if you didn't approach these with a certain tongue-in-cheek kind of black comedy, then you'd just be missing the point, I think.
I think Marla, definitely, if it was not for Marla, Tyler would not be engendered. And the need to invent Tyler comes from meeting Marla, or in confronting Marla and somebody you possibly have a relationship with. He's too scared and retreats and invents this character that he feels could have a relationship other than himself.
That's never saying, thank you, Travis,
Yeah.
which was,
An ode to Travis Bickle.
right, there was a period where I was going to have all of the fake names that he uses being names from De Niro characters in the 70s.
Right, it was all names from
I had
Planet
Travis,
Apes.
I had Travis and
I'd
Rupert.
rather have this worked out
There's also
yourself for
River
once.
Cornelius.
But then Cornelius got in,
A little bit,
And Len-
because it's
and then-
one already.
and then when we ended up with
Okay.
sickle cell anemia group,
Let's start the workout then and see what I'm doing here.
So it ended up sort of a
Reviews.
melange
Okay.
between De Niro
And we'll
performances
do what
in the
you're doing
70s
there,
and
bench
Len.
press. And then we'll do.
I think it's a great sort of
Maybe
end of
we
the
could
century
look at that too.
character, guy who's
We'll do
addicted
those two
to
things.
self-help groups, support groups.
Just switch back and forth.
Christina, the girl playing the
Okay.
worker
Right.
there, the person doing the guided meditation.
12 times?
An old friend of mine
Sure.
from New York
For
Theater
like
days.
12
She and I were in a lot of plays in New York
like
together.
12 of those and 20 of
I
these.
remember the first time I went with the Dust Brothers.
Alright, 12 reps of these. 20 reps of those. So
Or 10 if you want to.
How about we do it on timer instead? So you just do as many as you can in the time.
Okay.
How do that?
Sure.
You know, everybody was terrified of them
I'll
because
make
they
it
never
easy.
done it before, and I was like, no, that's exactly what we want. We
Okay,
cannot
I'll do it on a timer.
music in this movie who's ever done it before.
I saw Penguin on the TV.
Yeah.
Kind of thematically tie this all together.
Yeah,
That
that's
scene,
We were
famous
pushing for
scene.
Radiohead.
Right.
For that
Cool.
Yeah, Brad and I had
early Simon and Garfunkel graduate.
Brad and I had a mutual fixation.
Oh, let's do these too. Let's mix in one other
Radiohead
thing.
albums.
Two other
It's one of the
things.
great entrances, you can't really go wrong with an entrance like that.
Two more
You
things.
go and
How
you
about
just
this?
get a cancer support group and ask
We'll do these hip
whether
extensions
it's cancer.
Okay.
and
I'm watching it, you
hang
remember
from the bar.
there's little things, of course, I
Okay,
try to
bar
do very
hangs.
maximum, so for me,
So
I
you'll
just
come
want to
over
keep
here.
the things away and
And you'll
cancer,
just
right?
hang your favorite.
When doing an
That's not my
accent,
favorite.
which I enjoy doing.
You
Dude,
can
that's
do
not my favorite. You always say it's my
I
favorite.
know, say it's your favorite thing that you don't like to do.
Like the most
But
outstanding
if you hang on the bigger,
from
rounder one, it
American
won't hurt your
American.
hands as
But
much.
the D's for T's, you substitute,
Okay.
or T's for
I'll
D's.
try those.
And,
The round one's harder than you want to, but it doesn't pinch your skin.
So this is cancer, right? And with David.
Alright, wanna get started?
His characteristics.
We'll just turn on the timer,
Multiple takes.
and we'll switch every
You
like.
never walk away from something.
You wanna make it easy, like a minute, like we usually do, or you wanna change it up?
A minute.
She went from 2 packs a day to 3 by the end of this film.
Another main sort of enjoyable byproduct for me was being a smoker, being in LA and being paid to smoke.
This is
Do you know what I was doing below the frame on that one?
We actually shot a version where Edward was masturbating as he's thinking about how much he hates Marla.
And she's sort of making him incapable of even that. He's incapable of even that level of self-love.
That's weird if it's an overlay.
This is
What?
practically the only other.
I made a video with TikTok and I put the overlay over it. Weird.
I felt immense solidarity when they came on set.
And in the book, it's Joni Mitchell's skeleton, not Meryl Streep's skeleton. Why did we change it from Joni Mitchell to Meryl Streep? Like Meryl Streep
She
to
was
Joni
more
Mitchell.
like Meryl Streep, yeah, I just didn't think she looked enough like Joni Mitchell.
Huh.
I mean, you kind of,
Okay.
yeah.
Timer. Stop watch.
There was a
Ready?
huge
Where's five, kettlebell do you wanna lift? Try practicing.
She was just.
How about this? Do the first round with this 15,
It wasn't.
and then the following rounds use this 35, okay?
Okay.
I will use.
Or 25.
No, I don't have a
I'm
25.
pushing her for that too.
What do you have?
That's
I got,
And you said love.
well, we
Yeah,
got
she
the
did such a
5,
great job.
we got the little baby,
It's just so, it just.
we got the 15, we got the 35, we got a 50, we got a 45, a 60, and a
This
70.
practice is meant to
Have a very fun.
giving people false hope. That's what
Yeah. Throw this over here, little baby
Gotta
kettlebell.
give don't get it better answer, so.
And,
Actually, that was right there. That was one of my favorite Andy Kevin Walker lines. If I had a tumor, I'd name it Marla.
I'm gonna lift the 35 in the first round, and then we'll move up to the
Rehearsing, the
70.
obvious question is whether we're going to visit real support groups for Tony.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
generally, so, you know, just any kind of support group.
And
for real.
dumbbells, I'm gonna warm up,
And
pressing
it's,
the
ultimately, it's a
25s,
total
and then I might move up to the
It's not a
the
totally
15 and
realistic
60 pound
portrayal
form.
of-
What are you gonna use? You know, you're already warmed up. You should use like the, grab the 15s.
Everything about this film is
for your bench
this,
press.
you know,
Right there.
a stylized, heightened realm.
I love this little side gag of her overflowing coffee. It's just one of those-
Did she do
I'm
it?
gonna go use the bathroom.
You never caught it. Never saw
I
that.
was like, okay, I think I can use the coffee on the fresh. She's like,
You know, that's how focused I was in the moment. I never noticed that.
You are good.
That's lost.
Helena walks a fine line. It's tasty. Her role was a role that could have just actually read a little more redundant than Mylon Edwards, a little more monotone. And she didn't get the credit she deserved here. little delicate turns and twists and really filled the thing in. She's phenomenal.
How many says that big cheeks on the it looks like your two cheeks are touching the middle of the mouth.
One of the things I always hated about Helena's hair is those little strands always came into her eyes and they were so distracting because you always want to look at her eyes. She has some amazing eyes. But it became this real tension thing because it was like they were always sort of dangling and she blinks and they move.
I love the couple in the back there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Always.
With matching skinheads.
Yeah.
I like her little coke ring on the good. Flower. Actually, it's like the catalog.
That was actually one of my favorite marketing tools. Was
Like the catalog. It was genius.
Good boy.
One costume decision which was made right early on, principally because David said to Michael Kaplan, who's a fantastic costume designer, as soon as she gets here, make her taller. The guys are about 6'9" and I'd say 5'3" and approaching it.
Oh, look at this picture.
So I wore these platforms, which I love because anything to help them from the bed. But was started rushing it after doing about a marathon, walking up and down that street after about 36 takes. So most of the time, I must say,
It was at Apple Hill.
thinking about that.
Ah, and I picked you up and brought you.
This is one of those things, you know, when you shoot
You hopped on this tree.
camera, it's
And you
it
could
always
see.
ends up being a
Yeah, it's all
disaster in terms
cut.
of sound.
You
And I don't know who was doing our transfers for our tape every day, but they just sounded horrible, so we went in and looped the whole thing.
And look at this girl.
Just
She's
going,
like,
oh, this is crazy, I can't do this.
whoa.
And then
I think she was chasing you.
We spent at least
That's what was happening. She was chasing you around.
all right.
I don't remember that. You remember that?
David Parker, all that dialogue, played it back.
Oh, what's wrong?
Just went with it.
the production track.
Yeah, but actually, I think the ADR tracks were really great, but for some reason, the production was funny, but wow, this is great.
I only one take when we did that, and I thought I'd actually be free.
You ready?
On because the action was so realistic. He's doing well as well.
It's already 3 o'clock. It's not even 1 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock, really.
Oh.
So let's just do this and go back inside. We'll rotate in a minute.
I think
We're
what's
gonna keep
attracting
it.
me to the part of Marlowe is
Okay. We're gonna keep it right here.
David
Can you
was
watch
sort
it?
of,
Ready?
there's nothing-
We'll just we'll switch from, I'm going a circle, okay? From there to kettlebells to extensions.
Yeah, but we can't see it.
Well, one of us will be able to see it because it'll go like this. Well, one of us will always be right here.
We were shooting,
So it'll be
she's on the street.
bench press,
She almost made me
how about
like
this? Bench press, hang,
You reshot that.
kettlebell, back extension.
Yeah.
Bench press, hang. So if I start on back extension, they all go to bench press, and just go in a circle, okay?
But literally, you
First
just-
start line.
I mean, it's enough to achieve the problem.
Okay, good. And what, we'll go for what, like 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Or what? How many, 4 rounds, 16 minutes? 16, go.
And I would tell her, just be fearless, don't worry about it. She would just step right out in her car. You hear a little clack of like the buttons on her coat.
You said 16 rounds?
Yeah, for 16 minutes. So it'll be 40 times 16. Like do each thing like 4 times, I think. Yeah.
We actually, when we shot the car outside of the road, that was the out in Marina Del Rey,
Right.
the frog conservation area that was supposed to be green. What?
That's right. Hey, now do you remember when we were doing this shot? Remember, this is Brad's first
Brad's in.
non-subliminal appearance. But do you remember when we were shooting that and they tried to back the moving sidewalk up and they couldn't stop it and the whole entire camera unit like jammed up into the back and Conrad almost got our camera operator almost got crushed.
Sample package mouth
Hmm.
tiny bars of soap.
Okay, switch.
That's all we got.
Welcome.
For those of you looking in that little hotel video, it is Brad on the right and the line flames.
Scratchies. No one's ever thought that. No one's ever thought that. I wanted to do, those little commercials when you check into your room and you have to, they show you the fire exits and you see the guy in the elevator stops and the smoke coming through. Just put the towel down at the base to let it go.
You gotta try and hang it
We
when you can.
just didn't have time. So it was reduced down to that, but it's pretty pure, and not even in the middle,
Are you hanging?
off to the
I
side.
can't tell. I can tell you're hanging when you
Richard
breathe.
Schickel, biography
Come on, hey.
of this guy who writes for Time
Just hang.
Magazine, you know, he talks about seeing the wild
Really?
one
Hang.
and how the wild
Hey.
one was
Jeez.
one of the cinema experiences for him as a youth because it was about youth, anger, and Frank was saying, you know, what are you rebelling
Hey,
against? What do you
hey,
got?
I did. It's really
All
good.
his parents were saying this is subversive and
I'm gonna try to hang it on.
violence and all this stuff, and he felt this complete thrill of identification with it. And if you read his review of Fight Club, it's just like it's a guy who, you know, is completely incapable of recognizing another wave of zeitgeist film. You know, I mean, he can't. He's incapable of seeing the same potential because he's on the other end of the generational spectrum. Now watch this shot coming up. Boom. The stewardess. See, I was trying so hard to keep my eyes open, but Fincher kept blowing this air cannon into my eyes. I thought I should have this serene look of fascination.
Well, you should have.
No. I thought it was pretty well, considering the 200 pounds per square inch that was blowing onto my naked eyeball.
I would say that was premature.
Well, second.
Listen, if they can cut the flap, you cut your cornea and flap it up, you can see.
Oh, done.
Sure. If you give them a carb set, good. This is my, I love this. I just see this. This is so funny. Right here.
It's done this about 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, it's one of those 18-hour days.
Not to take credit away from Jim, you also did a great job adapting this, but this is very faithful to the book.
Well, to this even existence.
Oh, is this one of the ones that's not?
This is completely fascinating.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Originally they meet on a nude beach.
That's right. That's right.
That's
Which was, that's right. It's the book. I fought hard to keep that.
Prehistoric sundial.
Yeah, with
The
the hand.
Stonehenge
Right.
sundial.
In the book, Tyler's going
Try
to
to
be
go up a
sundial.
little bit higher.
Always full of body on the beach.
There you go, higher.
That's right. This is
Squeeze your
another big one in
glutes.
the bar coming
There you
out.
go.
Can we be naked?
Squeeze your butt.
What were some of the
One more.
most bizarre reactions? Do you find yourself like a
Switch.
No, my sister liked it.
Really?
Right there.
My brother and sister loved it.
Right there in the heart of the Bible Belt. The actual buckle.
This is our second round.
Yeah.
Who's this guy wearing this like weird like soldiering outfit?
It's got Fred Siegel's packaging.
Yeah.
It is really interesting though. Like one as a lighting thing. I mean, you guys really watch the color out because like the way. I mean, Brad's hair reads like black there. You know, and mine too.
That's just underexposure.
It's just
Can't
interesting.
invert.
It's so dark. I mean, I like the film, but it's really dark.
And not just in the psychic sense. Fincher used to toss around sort of the Buddhist thing of you have to kill your parents and then kill your God and then kill your teacher, and I think
Switch.
Tyler helps Jack, you know, reject the value system of his parents, and then at the end he has to reject Tyler. Tyler's his teacher. He has to sort of pull back, and you know, Tyler helps him through the first steps toward enlightenment in a way, but by the end he has to pull away from Tyler even and define himself as separate from Tyler. I think that's one way you can look at the whole thing. I mean, Tyler's seduction is a more liberating
That's
seduction.
not far.
It's a
Yeah,
seduction
yeah, not for me.
liberating yourself from
It's not for me.
human
That's probably promoted.
seductions
Maybe.
and all that's familiar
Oh,
and not
did you
working
fart?
on an emotional level.
Here's
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah,
Gentlemen, Mr. Bob.
No, agent friend of Finch Wallace.
Interesting.
Goodbye.
So bitten about everything you've done, huh?
Designed a mean pair of sweatpants too.
He's one of those guys who just for morale.
He is. He's doing morale.
Now see, this was a scene that pretty much anytime I saw it got a laugh. Only someone
Right.
Switch.
like Ken Tran couldn't laugh at a scene like this.
Oh, yes.
He's son of baby.
Yeah, he's good. I love the expression right now. I'm not here to judge. We know you have to do it. I'm not here to judge.
Now, this was power, I gotta say. I thought a little power surge written through LAX was.
It took Brad about 8 takes to be able to get that car into gear.
You're out of your mind.
You did.
Keep getting your head turned off.
Tyler, on sort of a philosophic, political level, he definitely represents sort of, I think, a very Nietzschean impulse toward the idea of nihilism as a practical approach.
One more
I think
second.
it's a lot like sort of Nietzsche's Zarathustra. It's the idea that nothing can change in a positive way unless a lot of the old values are ripped down. What gets explored in the film is the idea that nihilism is a very sexy idea when you're young and feel frustrated, but that becoming mature means recognizing the practical limits and in some ways the hypocrisies that nihilism lends itself to. I have a funny story about the night we shot this coming up right here.
Okay.
Now in the lobby of this building, there was a fountain which was turned off, but the water was kind of basically at floor level. And right before this shot right here, I was sort of trying to get, appropriately in that mode right there. And I just turned all those extras around and stepped right into the fountain. And I was up to my calves in the fountain. But fortunately this shot didn't have my feet in it.
Literally,
Such
like,
outtake material.
literally like 5 or 6 people, crew members, just.
Some more seconds.
They did. You would hear splash, 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 and we would go, oh shit. We're like, should we put this on?
Later, tell me that the pilot like.
George Strait is
3,
always
2,
knows where he
1.
wants to be within the context of the story. The drawback is sometimes it's planning to keep it from being fresh, in theory anyways, but the guy is just so exquisitely good that he never gets in the way. Me, I'm the opposite. I have to dictate what's going to happen, and so for me it's more of a hit and miss. The drawback for me is when I'm missing, I'm really missing. I don't have that to fall back on.
I always liked that her voice, we talked about that when we were writing the script about, or working on it, just about how her voice should trigger the explosion.
Yeah. Hello.
See, thematically speaking, it's good stuff. I always thought that at his moment of sort of desperation, he kind of had this impulse to call the woman, which is pretty much the impulse he should have been following all along. But she's too much like him. He sees himself reflected in her too much.
These underlying themes that we don't state, but just hating someone the most because they represent you yourself, they reflect your life. Sounds interesting.
And so, as soon as he hears that voice, he hangs up and then
Oh,
basically
so
tells
switch.
the other guy, who of course is his imaginary friend. So really that's the moment of the beginning of true psychosis. Although I guess he was talking to himself on the airplane. And I guess he did. I said that explosion is a part of him already.
Those already done that, yeah. He's just not dealing with it. He's still.
So he's basically been a sick twist from the first frame of this film.
Yeah. Fade in. Sick motherfucker. Goes on.
I actually wanted to.
Got hair on
I
your
was
eyes.
trying to convince you, let me be the self-help group leader.
Mm.
Okay. Feminine style. So you create your
What?
whole image.
The conqueror's gonna have to get dark.
Oh, I thought it was time to switch.
Things never getting a little flat out. And the last take is just one keep tearing shit. You see what he grabbed out.
Switch.
This scene was another scene that was not in the book that was kind of a collective effort in the office.
Yeah.
One character that I love the Lorraine Bobbitt reference. It just never went over. It seems crushed me.
You know, it kind of came out of a lot of, it kind of came out of a lot of spitballing.
A lot of nerve basketball.
A lot of nerve.
Wardrobe.
We had a longer rehearsal period on this than any movie I've ever worked on.
And we spent most of it on that.
We spent most of it shooting Nerf hoops. Most films do tend to wrap things up thematically in a bow and let you go out of the
15
theater
more seconds.
knowing exactly what the message was that you were supposed to take.
10
from it.
more
And when
seconds.
films that muck around in these kind of ideas resolve in some ways
I forgot
ambiguously
I was
and dump a lot of it in your lap and say you have to sort through some of this yourself and figure out what it means to all of you, what components of it you agree with, what components of it you disagree with. People get very uncomfortable. People don't like it.
I loved your insistence on getting Viagra into this somehow. It's like Viagra had to be in there. It's exactly right. These things were right.
Thank you, man. And yours with the Lester.
Oh, Les obscure anal leakage reference.
I knew I wanted to be in this movie the minute I heard that we were going to get to say fuck Martha Stewart in it.
I was hesitant until I saw the Kmart commercials, and I said, all right.
I've met her. She's actually a handsome lady and very nice.
What do you guys think of Rosie O'Donnell? Rosie O'Donnell just hated this movie.
I know, but you know,
No,
really-
that's okay. She did.
You know,
No. But she was saying this movie disturbed me. I could not sleep for nights.
What's wrong?
I think it's wrong.
Why are you doing it sideways?
She wanted to look at her.
I'm not just looking at you.
Yeah, what's that? By the way, the end.
Upside down.
Okay, you're not doing it sideways for any reason, are you?
No.
Switch.
what?
Yeah, sure. That'd be worse.
Basically, anyone who's
With the flying around.
anyone who's seen the movie, bought the DVD, and decided to go ahead and list all this is a fan or is liking it.
You think so?
Yeah.
Or
So,
the ammunition to bring us all down.
Exactly.
no, I'm just gonna assume the positive and assume that anyone listening in here is cool.
I think another thing that was sort of informed the whole experience of doing Fight Club for me was that I was playing a supporting character, you know, who was working 40 days over 113 and spread across that period. So it was quite difficult. I suppose one of the greater challenges was trying to remain emotionally involved and concentrated and coming in, you know, having had 3 weeks off to do another scene and somehow, you know, resurrecting her. I'd never been asked to do that. I'd never had to sustain performance for 6 months, but you know, erratically. But that was definitely one of the sort of challenges we got.
I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Yeah. Now the casting for this.
Fincher appears in all his with a big tan.
I don't tan well, except in a few places.
Now the thing about cigarette burns in actuality is don't they run most movies on a platter now?
Yeah, so
So that
it's an irrelevant joke, but who's there for posterity? Sure.
Ooh.
there must be some theory that such a switchery.
This is our first day. This is your
This
first
is
day.
my first.
Yeah, that's when
That's right, this was Brad's first day.
When Brad came in and we shot till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And by the end of it, he was going on to get in his car. He had this little
Switch.
We didn't go that late. I didn't. You guys had to go. No, you left pretty late.
You know, I left a little earlier.
Time flies.
My mom actually justifies this whole entire movie. Because I warned her going in, but she it's all alright with her because I play a character who's not really real. It's really Edward Dillon, so she was sleep at night.
I always like the fact that I was actually eating with the people before I turned down the fourth wall.
I love that, and Brad is so funny in his choices, and he's such a dangerous and sort of utterly present performer.
This is a scary thought I'd rather just not think about.
My introduction to the whole of the Fight Club scenario was over the whole Oscar period, and I've been sent lots and lots of scripts, as it often happens when it's just the last time you want to read anything. It's just all very high and do 10,000 interviews. But just before sort of some kind of Oscar party, I met Brad.
This is the last one, make it count.
It is.
And I read
Nice.
it, and I felt
Good
really
advice.
about it, and felt that, well, so tricky thing for him to, we discussed a sort of moral issue, whether it was responsible for film for him to do.
Hear that, everybody? Last one. Make it count.
Very easy to talk to. Anyway, we discussed it, and then I met Fincher, I guess, a week later, and then was very impressed with him.
Nice.
Because he was so completely unlike.
30 more
I'd
seconds.
get a very
I'm doing it with my eyes closed.
I noticed.
testosterone, macho, possibly somewhat immature adult, and actually what struck me about Fincher was his particularly
15 more seconds.
and feminine, but highly articulate and persuasive individual. But it didn't need to be that persuasive, but I just thought, well, between the three of you,
5,
the intelligence,
4,
the talent,
3.
and the writing, is a highly illustrated script. You just didn't get film scripts, certainly like in mainstream
Good job.
budget films. You don't
You
get
should
that.
be in my back.
That looks sore.
It's so clear that in this scene, the whole point that is articulated is not
That's
I'm
right.
feeling shitty
Yeah.
about things are going well, so I want to like punch you in the face as a result of it. But if the point was to take the hit.
Oh,
the-
jump so by the
more
camera
about
with me.
receiving and, you know, the shit
See you next time, everybody.
See you next time.
Alright, bye.
Experience yeah, having the experience yourself.